Thanks to the supporters of channel member PP0476. We've just had the weirdest run of Premier League matches I think I've ever seen, and I am now not even sure if we're a really good team or a really bad team. Hello, Mugner Club 4, part 29 of Non-League to Legend. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we have an FA Cup third round tie away against Liverpool, a Premier League game away against Wolves, and potentially transfer shenanigans. The transfer window is open, although we don't really have any money to spend, and I'm pretty happy with the squad. Since you were last with me, I mentioned weird form. Here's your weird form. So we beat Everton 4-0. That's Everton, who were down in the relegation zone. That's acceptable. We beat them 4-0. Then drew 2-2 at Watford. Watford, who are mid-table. One place below Southampton, who we beat 9-0. But then lost against Leicester, who were 2 places above them. And then also lost against Brighton, who are below all of them. I have no idea what's going on. Are we good? Are we bad? Was the 9-0 the real? Castellare got 4 goals when we beat Southampton 9-0. They're mid-table. they're only 5 places below us. It's baffling. This is what the Premier League table looks like. We've gone just past the halfway point of the season, and we are in 5th place, just outside of the Champions League qualification spots. As with last year, it's very much a big 6 again that we are part of. It's pretty clear after a few years of this now, there are 6 teams in the Premier League who are probably all good enough to be in the Champions League, and 2 of us are going to miss out each year. At the moment, we're the ones just outside, but thanks to that result over Southampton, we actually have the 2nd best goal difference in the league, which could be crucial come the end of the season. Manchester United down in 6th is really interesting, because I don't know how the AI of the game is going to treat stuff like this, because if Manchester United are languishing down in 6th place for too long, how long until Unai Emery, who's been there 7 years now, gets fired? And if he does get fired, how tempting does a job like that become? Because with those kind of resources, we're obviously going to be in a much stronger position than with the resources we've got here at Norwich, where, as we've just explained, we've got no money. Despite being in the Champions League for 2 years in a row, we're £25 million overdrawn. Our financial projections aren't great, and we've run up nearly £100 million of transfer debt just trying to compete. The majority of that was this summer. We were down to £20 million of transfer debt this time last year. Oh, God, they've come to collect the transfer debt. Oh, luckily, it wasn't the debt collectors at the door. It was just just part of my new desk. Just part. Who would deliver a whole desk? That would be absurd. If you watch my streams most afternoons, fingers crossed, the whole desk is there by now, and you've watched me do all my sit-stand shenanigans. Because I've recorded this a week in advance. If I still don't have the desk by the time this video is out... Very sad. What were we saying? We were talking about football. Shall we play a football match? We've got Liverpool in the 3rd round of the FA Cup. If we check in on the club vision, you'll see the board are looking for me to get to the 5th round of the FA Cup. And with league form starting to slip just a little, I think it probably is important that we do as well as possible in the FA Cup. So we're not going to do the full rotation stuff we'd normally do, because we've got half-decent opposition, especially considering the board are devastated that I'm not developing players using the club's youth system. I say again, board, you're not... I mean, who shall I develop off of this extensive list? Goodness me. Right, this is the team. Hoy and Hal in goal, a back 4 of Erenuga, Caesar, Mura and Fernandez. Navarro at the base of the midfield. Janusek and Tipple ahead of him. Schultz in behind Abraham and Pedro Luis. We need to get back to some form. 2 defeats in a row does not sit well with me after how well we've played in recent years. This is the first... I mean, I think this is the closest to a little wobble that we've had. I mean, it even gave me the option there on the team talk that we were in poor form. I don't think I've ever had the poor form option in all my time at Norwich. So we don't want to start a trend with that now, especially because, if I recall, we've got Bayern Munich in the Champions League first knockout round, which will be coming up in tomorrow's episode. And I expect we won't do very well in that one. So we're kind of... I'm hoping on a little bit of FA Cup success this year. We've still not actually won anything in the series. It would be nice to win the FA Cup. Pedro Luis is completely on board with that plan as well, it seems, although I suspect he's drifted ever so slightly offside because of the flick on from Tammy Abraham. I wonder if the cross could have been left alone and he might have been able to stay onside, but Tammy's just kind of nudged it onto him. I think it's been given anyway, in which case, good work, everybody. So the cross comes in from Tipple. There's the little flick on from Tammy, and there's Pedro Luis, who certainly looked offside from that angle because the camera wasn't keeping up properly, but it's been given. So I will celebrate it. Huzzah. I love the fact that Tipple, playing as the Mazzala, so often doubles up almost like an extra left back on that side. We get that little overload on the left-hand side all the time. People often ask me why Griffin Diaz doesn't get more game time. But when you see the left back and Tipple just ruining teams the way they do down that side, I know Diaz is a natural winger and will probably be able to do a similar job. But I love Tipple, and the fact that he's homegrown is huge, because certainly if you've been watching the network game over on Twitch, you'll have been seeing, and of course highlights here on YouTube, you'll have seen some of the problems I've been having with squad registration in my Everton team there, because I don't really have any English players. I'm trying to use as many English players as I can. Obviously, Tammy Abraham, we've got Tipple, we've got Asa Walsh, who's always in and around the first team. I can't really sacrifice Tipple to let an American in, although, how old was he when we signed him? I wonder at what point, or if there's a point where he'll become homegrown at club, because that would then push him above Tipple in the pecking order, because he won't just be homegrown in England, he'll be homegrown at Norwich. Pedro Luis, another potential offside. It's so difficult to tell with him because he's so quick. I'm never quite sure. I think this one's been given as well. He's just constantly on the shoulder of the last man. And I think he probably is on there. I think this guy's playing him on. It's always so tight, and because he always looks so far offside because he's so fast. But Liverpool 0, Norwich 2 after half an hour, and Pedro Luis is having a lovely day. Ball over the top. Tipple's there for the flick on, but Tammy Abraham couldn't quite get there in time. And I mean, to be fair, the flick from Tipple probably needed to be squared a little more to give Tammy a chance to get there. But there's Pedro Luis again, giving it to Abraham, and now Tipple charging through. And I mean, once again, this is why I love Etienne Tipple. Look what he's done again there. Just charging through from central midfield. It's like having an extra attacker on the team at all times. Schultz with the in-swinging corner, and it ends up cleared as far as Janusek, who's playing it across to Mura, who gets clattered there, and that should be a free kick. It is a free kick, and the Liverpool player is getting a rather stern telling off here. And I think that's all it is. Yeah, just a warning. I don't know why we needed such a long and detailed animation to watch a man just get told off a bit. Tipple with the free kick is straight into the wall, and it ends up just petering out. The highlight peters out is what I'm talking about there. Just for some clarification. Oh, I'm still cross about this desk. I shouldn't be recording this video right now. This desk is making me so cross. Right, Liverpool are in here, and they have equalised. See, I mentioned the desk. It's cursed. The curse of the desk. It's just cost us a goal there. I'm cross. What made it worse? I answered the door wearing the suit on the top half. I had to go out there and bring it in. Now my neighbours think I'm insane. Right, let's have a goal from a corner just before half-time. This would be a perfect opportunity to go 2 goals ahead again. Pedro Luis is actually the man getting on the end of it. I might need to check my corner instructions, because I don't think there's a world where Pedro Luis is a man we should be aiming at from corners. When we've basically got 4 centre-backs starting today, and Tammy Abraham. They should be the 5 players who were in the penalty area. Instead, Pedro Luis would probably be more use just kind of lurking around, looking to pick up any scraps or anything that's cleared. Yeah, we might need to work on them. That's poor from Navarro. That wasn't a bad pass from Mura, and Navarro's just kind of stood there waiting for it to come for him, and the Liverpool player's just gone straight past him. We need to be playing with a little bit more energy and urgency than that. I mean, we're keeping a close eye on him. If that's, I don't want any kind of laziness drifting into the game. We've got Zamorano who can play there. We've got Padron who can play there. We've got Haruna who can play there. It's one of our most overstocked positions. You're not immune from being removed if you're going to get lazy. Right, we're going to take off Pedro Luis and bring on Casolare, who, of course, is reasonably fresh off of scoring 4 goals against Southampton, although the reason he's now not in the team is because he's been rubbish in the 2 games since then. And we're going to bring Pavia on at right back as well, who is definitely someone at this point that I'm going to be looking to sign permanently in the summer. And we've got that future fee on him. As long as we can get into the Champions League again, we should have the money to be able to make his loan deal permanent. And I can't really think of many other areas where we need much in the way of investment. We are definitely going to need a striker at some point, but Tammy Abraham seems to be recapturing his form again, as shown there, getting himself into a good position, header against the crossbar. Garza's developing nicely, so I don't think we necessarily need to rush bringing in another striker. The midfield is so good that the likes of Zamorano and Carlos and Yedro are struggling for starts. Walsh not even on the bench today. So, yeah, I think we're probably pretty well set in all positions apart from right back. So if we can go with Paviot and Romero as long-term competition for each other, the squad is looking pretty solid. 2-1 now, 9 minutes to go. We just need to hold on here. We started very brightly. The pace and the oomph has been taken out of this game, probably with the removal of Pedro Luis. That's a terrible cross from Paviot. That isn't any way to justify me spending £20 million on you in the summer, but we'll let him off because he's, I mean, as he showed there, pretty decent at the whole defending thing as well, which is something we don't necessarily get with a lot of our other fullbacks. And that is just chaos. Just absolute chaos there. Hoyenhau, for a rare occasion, looking like he was a little bit indecisive. I think he probably could have come for the cross. He looked like he did initially come for it and then backed off. Once again, the camera's not keeping up properly. And it's Uga at the far post, is it? Yeah, 14 is Uga at the far post, who probably could have done a little bit better with it. And now Liverpool in the ascendancy. We don't have Pedro Luis on the pitch anymore. They're going back to the well at that far post, but this time Hoyenhau decides to stay on his line and be there to collect the header that comes off the back of it. At least he made a decision. The first time, he sort of went for it and then pulled out of going for it, and it all went wrong. Hopefully, he's learnt from it. Schultz to Tipple, playing it over the top to Paviot. A late winner here would be the magic of the FA Cup. Cross comes in. Casolari does brilliantly. I mean, I don't know why it feels like that's being disallowed. It didn't have the number of goals for the season under Zamorano's name. It usually means something's being disallowed. I don't think it is. I don't understand any of the tells anymore in this game, but Casolari did brilliantly here. Cross comes in. He takes that perfectly, makes himself so much space, gets his shot away, and then the shot is palmed into the path of an onrushing Zamorano to make it 3-2. And hopefully, after a little bit of a scare, we are going to get the result that we deserve. Looking at those match stats, we have definitely been the better team today. We've seen it in the highlights as well. And, I mean, we deserve a win. So, fingers crossed. That's what we get. There's 5 minutes of time added on here, though. Liverpool have got a minute left, and they are attacking us. They're going back to that far post again, and they've done us at the far post again. Is it launch weekend of FM22 again? This is how all the goals were early in the game. I thought we'd dealt with this. 3-3, and I think because of new FA Cup rules and stuff in recent years, I think this is going to extra time and or penalties. I don't think you get replays in the FA Cup anymore, unless I am mistaken. Maybe you do. What do I know? That might have just been a temporary short-term thing at the start of the game, but we don't really need the extra game. We've played a lot of football already this season. Right, I'm going to show you the Wolves game in the Premier League anyway, because I want to show you a Premier League game because our form's been ropey. You'll just find out tomorrow how we got on in the FA Cup. And in the meantime, it looks like Pedro Luis is asking for a new contract, which, yeah, I guess is fair. He is the best player at the club, probably the best player in the history of the club. He's on 105 grand. Fingers crossed we can convince him to sign a longer term deal. He is now club captain after all, although he wants a lot of money. Let's push those numbers down a little bit. You're not having a yearly wage rise because we can't afford it. What's that, a 4-year deal? That works. 4-year deal on a slight pay rise. If it keeps him happy, then I'm happy. Let's go and play Wolves and hopefully pick up a win because it's been forever. We've won one in our last 5 matches in all competitions. This is not the Norwich we've all come to know and love. Right, here we go. Let's finally get ourselves a win because I don't like this whole getting into poor form thing. No changes from the team that just bottled a 2-0 lead away against Liverpool. We are going to beat Wolves. I've decided we're going to beat Wolves. We're going to get back into form because I don't really understand how the form has slipped. I can only put it down to overconfidence. We put 9 goals past Southampton, looked like the greatest team that has ever been. And since then, we've been rubbish. I don't understand it. I've never seen anything like it happen in Football Manager before. Right, Tipple playing it across to Schultz. Let's grab a few goals, shall we? Pedro Luis to Janusek, playing it through beautifully. I can only assume Tipple knew he was offside there because he's made no attempt to chase the ball. Schultz to Janusek, playing it out to Eranuga on the... I mean, what's he done there? On the left-hand side. Tipple gives it him back, and Pedro Luis trying to turn it past the goalkeeper, but there's a decent block in there that stops that from happening, and now Wolves have got a counter-attack going, but with our super-fast defenders that we've got, we're impervious to counterattacks. It's those far post crosses that we need to worry about. Fernandez now on the right-hand side, crossing over, looking for, I don't even know who he was aiming for there, Tammy Abraham maybe. Look how far forward Caesar is. Uga now also getting involved in the attack. Tipple is there. And have I mentioned recently how much I like Etienne Tipple? What a man. On the topic of Tipple, loosely on the topic of Tipple, I did go and check Griffin Diaz. It turns out he signed for us just after his 19th birthday. His birthday's in April or May. I forget exactly when it was. So he would have just turned 19 when we signed him. So he's never going to be classed as homegrown either in England or at the club. Interestingly, though, Romero and Padron both become homegrown at club next season. We've already got Haruna classed as homegrown at club as well. So we are starting to collect together a group of homegrown players, which is handy. Schultz now with the in-swinger and can't connect with it at that far post, but Janusek is there, presumably to try and whip it back in, but instead it's played across both Mura and Caesar really well forward again. Our entire team was well inside the Wolves half there. We don't feel the need to leave anybody back. Leaving players back and covering is for nerds. I'm complaining about poor form as well, but because it's so tight at the top of the league, even after having not won for a little while, if this ends as it is right now, we're back up to 3rd place and only 5 points off the top of the league again. The Premier League in the future is bonkers. That's what we've learned over these last couple of seasons. Mura again, playing it across to Caesar, back to Mura, and now Navarro turns, looks to play it forward. And, we're just back into our knocking it around nicely, waiting for opportunities to present themselves. Look how deep Tammy Abraham has come there. I know I reference it almost every time he does it. I love it, though. I love having 2 or 3 midfielders push beyond the striker and just really make it impossible for the opposition to mark our players properly. Tammy Abraham dropping really deep again. Tipple's just, as a starting position, way ahead of him. And it's just, I've decided it's my definition of total football. 1-0 at half-time. I might be getting a little bit overexcited because Wolves are down just outside the relegation zone and they've scored against us. That's got to be offside. That has to be offside. It's a free kick in FM22. It has to be offside. They always are. There'll be like half a dozen Wolves players offside here and it has been disallowed. Excellent. Are we going to get the replay of it? I mean, look at it. It's ridiculous. How does it happen so often? Yes, obviously you get offsides in real life. You don't get offsides like that in real life. That's got to be fixed. It's so ridiculous. And it's been happening throughout FM22. Wolves 0, Norwich 1 still. I haven't really looked at what's going on in the other matches. We don't care what's going on in the other matches. As long as we win and we're back up into the top 4, I am happy enough. We'll bring on Casolari again. This is his last chance for a little while before I start focusing on Gaza's development again. So we don't even have Diaz on the bench today. Carlos is going to come on and play in midfield, which he's done a few times recently. We'll leave it there for now. Both fullbacks are tiring, but we'll check back in on them in a little while. In fact, Fernandez is now officially the most tired. So we will, rather than bringing on Noel, we'll bring on... In fact, forget that. We will bring on Noel. No, we won't, because Fernandez is the centre-back who go out to right-back. He's the one who's coming off. I was trying to take advantage of my fancy right-back, centre-back combinations again, but when you've got one of them already starting at right-back, it doesn't quite work. Still only 1-0. We've been completely dominant in this game, but somehow only have the one goal to show for it. We're a very odd football team at the moment. We look like world beaters, but we also look like there's just a little something missing, and I can't put my finger on what the little something is. If you want to make suggestions down in the comments, fill your boots. But the important thing is we are back up into the top 4 again, and hopefully that's the end of this iffy run of form. We'll knock Liverpool out of the FA Cup. We'll win a few more Premier League games, and by the time we're back tomorrow to show you Manchester United and Bayern Munich, all will be right in the world again. That's what we're hoping for. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.